Greetings, I'm Art Fireman, and we are Projector Reviews TV. At the beginning of our full online review of this Sony VPL-HW65ES, I proclaimed, "The evolution is upon us." It seemed a logical statement. This Sony projector replaces the HW55ES, which we reviewed and had given a Hot Product Award to. That older Sony also came out of our 2015 Best Home Theater Projectors report with a tie for Best in Class Award for projectors priced between $2,000 and $3,500. Since from time to time our projector reviews viewers ask, I will note right up front that this video is based on the results of our full online review. When we do a video, we do not provide manufacturers with any control of content. The first Sony will know what I'm saying here will be when we publish the video, unless of course they read the online review. Given that the older HW55 is a fine projector, Sony has managed to improve it more than enough to make this a truly superior projector, if still in most ways similar. The HW65ES has the same $39.99 list price. Both projectors use 3 LCOS panels, which Sony calls SXRD, but this projector is definitely seriously brighter, now claiming 1800 lumens. I must point out that it easily beat its claims, so it's one of the brighter, high-quality home theater projector solutions out there anywhere near the price. 5+ years ago, it wasn't easy to find any home theater projector that could put out a decent picture with much more than 1000 lumens, and we called anything with 1500 lumens as a light cannon. Lots of brightness was a luxury, but it's standard on this HW65ES. Now from most angles, this Sony looks exactly like its predecessor, because other than the model number, the only thing you will notice is a few less connectors on the input panel, but I'll get into that in a bit. The Sony has a 1.6:1 manual zoom lens and quite a bit of vertical and horizontal lens shift for some pretty good placement flexibility. It's a fairly largest projector, has nicely sculpted lines in case some of you care what it looks like when the lights are on and not in use. Lamp life has been improved to 6,000 hours in eco mode, which keeps the long-term operating costs way down. Of course, this Sony can be used tabletop, ceiling mounted, and if it works in your room, rear shelf mounted. Later on in the video, we'll tour the hardware and run through the inputs and other connectors. I think first it is important to talk about one of the Sony's key strengths, its overall picture quality, and especially the excellent color. Almost any home theater projector out there today can be calibrated to end up with some pretty impressive color, but calibrations, unless you are a hobbyist enthusiast with your own calibration gear, will typically set you back $300 to $600 or more dollars. We review a whole lot of projectors, but for the last 3 years, I don't believe any company has done as near as good a job as Sony when it comes to delivering great looking and accurate color right out of the box. Two of Sony's main competitors, Epson and JVC, do very well. They sport official THX modes, but microcalibrator has never found those modes to be near as accurate as this HW65ES is. With a proper calibration, you can make the Sony's picture even more dead on the money, but folks, it's really close. Check out our calibration settings in the full review. Normally we do an extensive CMS, color management system, calibration of the individual primary and secondary colors, but Mike reports that the CMS was so on the money on the HW65 that it wasn't needed. Color accuracy is only one key component, there are many. Black level performance, critical for extremely dark scenes, thanks to a very smooth and flexible and dynamic iris, is extremely good, if not the very best around. It is truly ultra high contrast, a term I refer to for projectors that have achieved black level performance good enough that other issues become more important. Dark shadow detail, I should note, is excellent as well, but it is not, again, the absolute best in the class. One thing that really impresses me is that the overall image appears very natural. Sharpness is very good as well, but more expensive Sony models, all but one of which are true 4K, do have slightly better optics. Sony's reality creation, detail enhancement processing is excellent. CFI, smooth motion, works extremely well in sports and general HDTV viewing. Let's discuss brightness. Here's a projector that in a proper theater cave can handle some huge screen sizes when using a typically high quality screen. 120 inch diagonal isn't even a challenge. 150 inches, not a problem. 200 inches, I don't even know anybody with a screen that large that's over 8 feet tall, but the Sony could do it, although you might want a screen with a little extra game. If you have a 100-inch screen, you may never even feel the need to run the projector at full power. The exciting news is that the HW65 is much brighter than the older HW55. In Best Picture mode, we found the HW65 to be 60% brighter. Now, Mike changed out his calibration gear since the older review, but that at most could account for maybe a 20% difference. 3D, here's another area of improvement. The older HW projector used infrared and came with 2 pair of IR glasses. The 65, however, switched to internally supporting the superior radio frequency active glasses. With the HW55, you could buy a third-party emitter if you wanted to switch to the better stuff. Sony no longer includes 3D glasses, but today you can buy excellent, lightweight 3D glasses for well under $20 a pair. Another thing I like about Sony's 3D is the color accuracy is rather good, if not as good as 2D. Many projectors have to run 3D in their brightest mode where color accuracy is, well, weak. Of the major companies, I'd say Sony easily has the best 3D color out of the box. Okay, time for that closer look at the hardware. Okay, it's time for a hardware tour of Sony's VPL-HW65ES, their $39.99 1080p home theater projector. First things first, it looks black to you, but the truth is it's an incredibly dark blue if the lighting is just right. You know what, call it black. In front we have the manual zoom lens. Outer ring is focus, inner ring is zoom. The zoom ratio is 1.6 to 1. The zoom is 1.65 to 1, providing very good placement flexibility. Above that on the top, we have the vertical and the horizontal lens shift. The only other things you find in the front is the small infrared sensor for the remote control and 2 of the exhaust vents. The intakes are primarily in the back, allowing for rear shelf mounting if you so desire. Okay, now we're looking at the side, the left side, if you're facing the front of the projector, and the first thing we see is the control panel. It's small, it's hidden, almost invisible. First button right there, press once to power on, press twice to power off. Next over is the input for selecting your source. Then comes the menu button, and finally this baby tiny joystick, which does up, down, left, and right, and pressing it in is the enter button. And that's all you need to control the menus. Now down below that we'll find all the inputs, and we'll talk about those from the back coming to the front. First of all, we have a LAN connector, local area network in the back, an Ethernet type connection, and next to that is the USB. The 2 primary inputs, however, are HDMI 1 and HDMI 2, and we're sort of running out of things to talk about here. All that's left is a serial port for remote and a 12-volt screen trigger. Basically, Sony's kept it pretty basic on this one. It has less connectors, but more modern ones than previous models. Okay, no video review would be complete if I didn't find some fault with the projector. Hey, I've got my credibility to maintain, right? Okay, I've already mentioned that the very good black levels could be better still, of course. Missing is one feature that is perhaps of interest to 10% of those considering a projector. That would be lens memory. For that, a projector needs a lens that's got motorized zoom and motorized lens shift. Who needs lens memory? The standard for viewing is 16:9, which is also the HDTV standard, while the majority of movies are still done in widescreen. If a projector does have lens memory, you can choose to buy a wider screen, serious movie enthusiasts only. It allows them to have their widescreen movies larger than their HDTV movies instead of the other way around. Of all the competitors in the general price range, only one popular model offers lens memory. If you're willing to spend a lot more, you would have more choices of projectors with that feature. The other thing one could ask for would be the ability to input 4K content. True, the benefits would be very limited compared to a true 4K projector. Still, there's only one projector I'm aware of that's not at least $2,500 more that will input 4K, but it's still a 1080p projector. There are a total of 4 projectors under $10,000 at the time of this publishing that have 4K inputs, plus a feature called pixel shifting, which you really need to take any advantage of those 4K inputs. Folks, there are always trade-offs, but when all of that is over, it comes down to this. It's about faithfully reproducing the content. It's not about the hardware. True, today's 1080p picture quality standards for home viewing aren't as high as what's used in your local Cineplex, but don't get me wrong. The tech differences of larger color gamut, more bit depth, etc. won't give you a better overall viewing experience than this HW65ES. This Sony does everything well enough so that the Cineplex advantages are easily trumped by not having to deal with loud people talking over the movie, cell phones, and maybe worst of all, today's local theaters have too much ambient light due to fire laws. That excess of light is guaranteed to wipe out a lot of that extra dynamic range and produce inferior black levels, ruining your dark scenes. That doesn't happen at home. When all is considered, this under $4,000 Sony has to be considered a top contender at its price point. Let me wrap it up this way. I can't think of a superior home theater projector that sells for less. But in fairness, if you're willing to spend more, there are always other series projectors to consider, each with their own strengths and of course weaknesses. The combination of the huge boost and measured brightness, along with the great out-of-the-box color, natural-looking image, plus other improvements, definitely make the VPL-HW65ES superior to its predecessor and a top choice to be considered by all, whether you are movie-oriented or primarily sports and general HDTV. Nice job, Sony. I'm Art Fireman. We are Projector Reviews TV. Check out all the good videos and content on our website. Oh yeah, and you might want to visit Smarter Home Automation, our newest review site. Thank you.